Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Thank you for attending. We're really excited about showing you this new product. We think this product represents the future of ERP, and we're excited to show it to you. My name is James Meyer. I am a partner at Manor Costerisan, and for those of you that don't know me, I've been in the ERP space for over 30 years. I've done consulting, evaluating, recommending, implementing systems. I've seen a lot of different systems over the years. And I can tell you, this is probably one of the most exciting products that I've been involved with. So I'm really looking forward to showing you and talking to you more about it. Today, the agenda we've got is we're going to start out with a quick introduction of who Manor Costerisan is, for those of you that don't know us. Then we're going to spend about 10 minutes and just talk about what is Dynamics 365 Business Central and what's included in it. And then we'll spend about 30 minutes or so on a product demonstration. And so with that, let's go ahead. Let's talk about who is Manor Costerisan. So again, for those of you that don't know us, we are a CPA firm. We're one of the top 200 firms in the country. We are Mid-Michigan's largest full-service CPA firm. So obviously we provide traditional CPA services like audit and tax and outsourced accounting services. But in addition to that, we also have a business solutions and technology practice, which some people know as Manor Solutions. And in our technology practice, we actually sell and support three of the leading mid-market ERP systems. That's Microsoft Dynamics GP, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central that we're going to talk about today, and then Sage Intacct. We also sell and support a couple of the leading corporate performance management solutions or budgeting. Some people know them as kind of budgeting and reporting. And those solutions are Adaptive Insights and Solver BI 360. And then we have an infrastructure team that does consulting on IT, infrastructure issues, and cybersecurity. So if we can help you in any of those areas, we would love to do that. But I know you're excited to see Microsoft Dynamics 365, so let's talk about that. What is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central? It is Microsoft's new cloud-based ERP solution. It is a new product. It was introduced in April of this year. But that being said, it is based on some very proven technology. It was actually built based on the foundation from Microsoft Dynamics NAV. And for those of you that are not familiar with NAV, NAV is one of the leading mid-market solutions today. There's over 100,000 users of NAV across the world. So it's a very proven product with proven functionality. And Business Central is leveraging all of that. But what Microsoft did is Microsoft went out and they re-engineered Dynamics NAV to be a true SaaS-based software as a service cloud application hosted on Microsoft's Azure cloud environment. So if you're trying to think about, oh, well, how does this compare to NAV? What's the difference here? Essentially what they've done is they've taken NAV and they've taken it to the next level. And a good analogy is if you look at the car industry and you think about, okay, I've got Toyota and then I've got Lexus, or maybe I've got Ford and then I've got Lincoln. Well, if you look at Ford, and you look at, let's say we look at the Ford Expedition, for example. The Expedition is a great car, but the Lincoln Navigator, which was built on top of the Expedition platform, but hasn't been enhanced, the Navigator is the SUV of the year this year. So that's kind of the way I look at Business Central. It is the ERP of the year solution, and it's better. The difference, though, when you do that analogy, the one difference is that the Ford Navigator is not priced 60 to 70% below its competition. And in the case of Business Central, it is. Microsoft, they want to get market share, and so they have priced this product extremely low, very competitively, to try to make it just a tremendous value for people. So that's part of what makes it so exciting for us. So the 365 Business Central, as you can see here, there's kind of three themes that we're going to talk about before we get into the demo. We're going to talk about connecting your business, how it's going to help you make smarter decisions, and how you can start and grow easily. Before we get into that, though, just to kind of give you more of a high-level overview, I want to just talk about it. This actually is a single comprehensive solution that covers all areas. So not just financials, but project management, manufacturing, supply chain, sales and service. It's got built-in CRM functionality. So it's a complete system which connects all of your people and processes and really makes it so that data can be quickly and easily shared and easily accessed so you can make informed decisions. That's what Business Central is all about. Now, if you want to drill in and see a little more detail what's included in Business Central, you can see here on this chart, in the financial management area, we've got general ledger, payables, receivables, bank reconciliation, fixed assets. In sales and service management, you've got CRM functionality. You can track contacts, you can track opportunities, you can generate quotes, process invoices and payments. Very powerful. In the project management area, I can do job costing or project accounting. I can put in budgets for those and track against them. I can manage resources. So very full functionality on the project side. Supply chain management, you got ability to track inventory, you got purchasing, you've got full distribution and shipping, returns, and e-procurement and vendor management. So there's a lot of functionality on the supply chain side. Operations management, primarily manufacturing. I got full MRP, I got production scheduling, I've got forecasting, I've got warehouse management. You can handle operations if you're a manufacturer. And then last but not least, it has really strong reporting and analytics. So you've got the ability to get very insightful information. In fact, they built some artificial intelligence in there, and they've linked it to Power BI, which is Microsoft's business intelligence tool, so that you can really go in and analyze your data to help you run your businesses and organizations more effectively. Okay, so let's get back to those themes, talking about connect your business. And the first one is mobility. This is a no compromises mobile experience with Dynamics 365 Business Central. You can run it on any device, you can run it through any operating system, and your experience is going to be basically the same, which makes it so that I can run it anywhere, anytime, any place, any device, and I have full access to all of my information. That's number one. Number two, it's tightly integrated with Office, and in particular Outlook. I can literally, from within Outlook, I can process a customer quote. If a customer emails me and says, hey, I need a quote, I can actually generate the quote and send it to them right from within Outlook. I don't need to go over to the accounting package. Similarly, on the vendor side, if I get an invoice from a vendor that I need to pay, I can go ahead and process that and post it into the system directly from Outlook. And we're actually going to show you that when we get into the demo, how that works. So very tight integration with Office. You also have workflow. So I can set up workflow for approvals. So if I want to set up an approval workflow on a vendor invoice, or entering a new vendor, or posting journal entries, whatever, I can create the workflow and to streamline my operations and make sure things are done more accurately. And then I've got strong audit trails against that and enterprise level security. Very complete system. So that gets into your connecting your business. Now let's talk about how it can help you with smarter decisions. I mean, it all starts really with the end-to-end view of your business. I mean, again, this is a completely comprehensive system. They have what they call a common data service where all your data is stored, and you have access to that. Everybody has access to that needs access to that information, so you can make the decisions when you need to make them. And then from a customer service side, very strong in the respect that you can, like I say, there's CRM functionality in there, so I can track opportunities, but I can also track my sales performance. I can monitor my customers. I can make decisions on maybe which customers I want to maybe have the greatest potential for long-term growth, where I want to focus my efforts, etc. So it really helps you in terms of managing your business to be more profitable. And then finally, on the smarter decision side, you've got the ability, it's going to help your employees in terms of making predictions. I mean, the artificial intelligence in here will actually generate cash flow forecasts for you automatically. You've got the ability to have it automatically recommend when you need to purchase new inventory if you have inventory. You can look at your budgets, and it's going to let you know if you're having an issue with budgets and that you need, and if there's a problem area. So it's very smart, going to help you make smarter decisions. And then finally, when we talk about the ability to start and grow easily, Dynamics 365, it's easy to get started. We have the ability to take your data and bring it in here in any level of detail that you want. You can use it out of the box, or you can tailor the system. You can set up your own fields. You can rename things. You can reposition things. You can set up your own dashboards. You can create your own business intelligence dashboards with Power BI, link them in here. So we can tailor this directly to your needs and make it very easy for people to operate. And then in addition to that, there are business extensions available through the Business Central Marketplace, where there's apps out there that you can use. Maybe they're industry-specific apps that add some additional functionality, or maybe even we're going to create some customized workflow that not only is workflow within the software, but allows you to have workflow between your different applications through Microsoft Flow, because we can use all the functionality of Microsoft's suite of applications out there, particularly Office 365 suite, like Flow, which is their workflow tool, or Power Apps, which is their ability to easily create mobile apps out of that are customized for you. So very powerful. And then last but not least, this thing is extremely scalable. I mean, you can start with 1 user. I can go to 500 users, so I can scale as needed. But then the other thing that's really nice is, let's say you had a slight downturn in your business, or your cyclical business. You can actually downsize if you want, because this is a month-to-month subscription. So I could start out with 20 users, and next month I could downsize to 10, and the next month I could go up to 50. And you're only paying for the ones that you use. So it's really scalable, really adaptable to what you're doing. So that, in summary, is Business Central, what it is. You know, you connect, make better, smarter decisions, you can grow easily. Now, before we get into the demo, one more thing before we get into the demo I just want to talk about. If you are a Dynamics GP user, and I know we have a lot of GP users on this call, I want to make sure you know that Microsoft is not saying you need to switch from GP. In fact, if you like GP, they're continuing to support it. They're encouraging you to stay on GP. But what they've done is they've created what they call the Intelligent Edge. And what the Intelligent Edge is the ability to actually synchronize, for example, your GP data, or if you're on a version of NAV or SL or over system, you can synchronize it with the Business Central Common Data Service so that your data is up into the cloud in Business Central. And then I can take advantage of all the artificial intelligence and Power BI functionality and everything that's up there to be able to still get my insights into my business. So this is not necessarily saying we need to upgrade and replace, but if you do want to upgrade, it's the way you want to go. All right. With that, let's go ahead and let's look at the product. I'm going to run a very structured demo. I'm going to do 2 things. So you see on this screen here, there's actually a lot of different scenarios we could go through from a demo standpoint, and I could be here all day demoing, but we have a short amount of time, and I want to show you what I think are some real, some really kind of key things to give you an idea what Business Central can do. So I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to look at this from an owner's perspective, and what kind of information an owner or an executive could get out of the system. And then we're going to look at it from a bookkeeper or an accounts perspective and look at how does the day-to-day operation actually work? How do I process an invoice, a vendor invoice? Let's start with the owner. So think of it as the owner runs the business. They need to be able to see everything. They're responsible for everything. They need to have access to information. So you give them the ability to come in. What we're going to look at here in the demo is we're going to look at 4 things. The owner's going to say, look at some things related to the health of the business, then some areas that are going to help identify some trends and opportunities. Then we're going to look at some customer history, and then finally just some miscellaneous things of how to actually manage the business. Let's start out with reviewing the health of the business. So part of that is just, it's important to have a clear understanding of what's going on. So let's go into the system. This is the home page for Business Central, and I'm logged in right now think of it as I'm logged in as the owner. What I'm seeing here is some key information. So you can see, it's showing me my sales, how much I have overdue right now in terms of receivables, how many purchase invoices I need to pay. And then down below, I've got these little color boxes that are actually showing me the transactions I have sitting out there. So I can see I've got 3 quotes. I can see I have 5 POs sitting there in the system right now. And then the white box is a little different because it shows me some metrics that I've defined for the system. If we scroll down, you'll see that I have some graphical information here. So I can see my top 5 customers. I can see my high-level trial balance this year versus, or this month versus last month. I can see some of the balances on some key accounts that I want to look at, GL accounts. And then up here, you actually are seeing a Power BI report. And for those of you that are not familiar with Power BI is Microsoft's business intelligence tool, and it's unbelievable what you can do with that, and how easy it is to access information and do analysis on information. And you can create as many BI reports and dashboards as you want, and you can use those within Business Central. And you're going to see a little bit here exactly how that works. But I can even drill in on these Power BI dashboards or reports. So for example, I want to know why my margin spiked and what that is. I can just click on it and it pulls up and shows me what my margins are. Okay, let's go back up to the top, and let's say I wanted to drill into sales. I want to know what are the invoices that make up these sales. I can click on see more, and it pulls up a list view of all of my invoices that are sitting out there right now. And what's really nice, this list view, if you look at this, think of this as any data in the system I can display in a list view like this. So if I want to have a list of vendors, list of customers, a list of purchase orders, but when they're in a list view, and I can tailor these list views in terms of what information I want to see. What's really nice is if you see this little icon up here that says edit in Excel, so I can send this data right out to Excel, but not only can I send it to Excel, but I literally can make changes in Excel, and then I can import it back into Business Central. So I can use Excel as a way to easily update data in my system. And that's really powerful if you think about it. It's really valuable. You can even use that for loading data into the system when you're getting started. Okay, so now that the owner has seen kind of a little bit about the health of his business, let's go see how we can identify some trends and opportunities. So we're going to go in and we're going to, and identifying trends it can be very timely and frustrating process, and you're probably going to have to export data to Excel, you're going to have to manipulate it, etc. But this is where Power BI comes in, because I can take Power BI and I can use that data in here to really analyze and look at what's happening. So let's go up here to the top to the what I call the waffle, or the kind of application switcher that Microsoft has with Office 365 and Dynamics 365. And I'm going to click on this, and you can see it pulls up some apps here, and then down here I'm going to click on all apps. And what I wanted to show you first of all is that this is part of Office 365. So right from within Dynamics 365, I can go and swap over and access any of these apps. It could be Excel, Word, Office, whatever. What I'm going to do though is click on Power BI. So I click on Power BI, and what comes up here is my workspace where I have some reports and dashboards that I'm using to analyze my business. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on customers here, and it pulls up a customer dashboard that I created or was created for me in Power BI. And you can see here I'm looking at my top customer, Alpine Ski House, one of my top customers, and I can actually see that there's a lot of good information on these charts. So I can see in blue how much I've sold, and then the black line shows me my sales amount. So I kind of see what's going on with this customer. Down here I've got a little kind of donut chart that shows my top customers. Let's say I want to see a different customer. So if we were looking at Alpine, let's look at Litware. If I click on Litware, now I can see what's going on with Litware. So it gives me tremendous insight into what's going on with my customers. Now let me go back. I'm going to click on Recent, take me back, and I can see my reports again. The next thing I want to show you is a little bit of how Power BI basically give you some insights. So there's over here on the right, there's a light bulb, one of the icons on each of these. And the light bulbs actually goes in and does some insight on the data. So I'm going to click the light bulb on the finance area, and you can see it pulls up a bunch of charts showing me some trends of things that are going on. So again, I can look at this and see some insight into what's going on in my business. And if I scroll down, you'll see there's even more of these that are out there. So Power BI gives you a lot of insight, and some of this is done through kind of artificial intelligence, so you don't even have to create these. It can kind of create them for you. Now let's go look at finance again. And so here's another dashboard for finance where I'm looking at some different charts showing me what's going on in the business. Let's say I want to share this. I want to share it with my all my board members. Maybe I've got a board presentation coming up. Well, there's one way I could share with board members is I could actually publish this out to the Power BI service up in the cloud. And if they have Power BI, they could just access these. But I know I've got a board meeting coming up. So what I want to do is I want to prepare a PowerPoint. Well, rather than having to cut and paste, what I can do is right from within here, I can go to File, go Export to PowerPoint, and it automatically pulls me into PowerPoint with those charts that I had for the finance area. So if I go in here and run this PowerPoint, you can see I've got in here, here's my header. Let me go ahead and advance. There's that dashboard that we were just looking at, but now it's sitting in PowerPoint. And what's the beauty of this is I can refresh, once I set these things up, I can just hit refresh each month, and I've already got all that information out there in my PowerPoint ready to go for next month's board meeting. Okay, if I click again, here's a different chart showing me some net change information for the years 2016 and 2017. So that's Power BI, and gives you a little view into that trends, how I can get, how that, as an owner, I can see some trends and opportunities. Now let's look at customer history. So chasing down clients, looking at balances, seeing what's going on sometimes can be a hassle, but with Business 365, it's extremely easy. So again, right, I was in Power BI. Let's go back over here to the waffle. Let's go back to Dynamics 365. And when I come over here, you'll see there's some things where the options I've got and things. I'm going to click on customers here, and it takes me right into the page on 365 with all of my customers. Now, I have limited data in this demo data, but you can see I got 5 customers, and it's highlighting right now a Datum Corporation. Let's say I want to see the customer statement for a Datum. I can go to, since it's highlighted, I can just go over here to report. I can click on statement, and here, voila, I've got their customer statement sitting here. I could review it, look at it, see if there's anything related to that. Let's go ahead. Notice it's in Word too, so all your documents can be generated in Word, and then you can edit them if you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Okay, and so essentially, you saw how easy it was to access the customers and the customer history. So one more thing I'm going to do as the owner, there's just some items related to managing the business, okay, and that's reporting. So reporting is really important. So let's go back into Business Central, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here, and you'll notice there's Excel reports, and I just want to show you how, again, I can have reports run right in Excel live. So we'll go and we'll run an age trial balance. And you can see here, here's an age trial balance for my 5 customers sitting right in Excel. And that's how easy it is to go in and do that, which makes it easier for your people to manage the business and see what's going on. And you can actually access these Excel reports from outside of Business Central. I don't need to be a user to do them. But Business Central actually comes with 2 types of users. There's the full users who are processing and entering transactions and creating new records, and then there's what they call team users. And team users are really, really inexpensive. And team users have access to everything you just saw, except I can't create entries. I can update them. So if the full user creates a vendor, a team user can go in and update that vendor. They just can't create it. Likewise, they could update an invoice, they just can't create the invoice in the system. So team users are very valuable and very inexpensive. So you could pretty much give everybody in your company a license to Business Central if you want to do that. Okay, one more thing I want to show, which I was just thinking here, is the search functionality. So this is really powerful search, really smart search capability. Let's say I want to print a customer trial balance. I can't remember where to go to do that. I can just go in here and type in customer trial balance. It'll pull up everything close to that. I can click on it, and it takes me right into the trial balance. So right from the search feature, I can go and execute and go into screens. Again, it makes it very easy, particularly for new users. In fact, even as we have been trying to learn this product, we use that feature all the time to know where to go to things as we get used to the product, or as our first, I should say, as new people are getting used to the product. Okay, to summarize, as the owner, we looked at how Business Central can help you improve your productivity, make better decisions, identify trends, find information easily, get information you need to manage your business. Now what I want to do is I want to switch gears. So now I'm going to be an accountant. We've got to process an invoice. So we're going to come in and I want to show you how easy Business Central makes this, but also how integrated it is with the other Microsoft products like Outlook. So let's go in as a bookkeeper, and let's say first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter a purchase invoice or a vendor invoice, and we're going to enter it manually so you can see what's involved in doing that. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to do it as an automated process using OCR, because OCR is built right into the software. Then after we do that, we'll look a little bit at the vendor balances and we'll actually pay the vendors. So you can see how that process works. Let's start by entering a vendor purchase invoice. All right, notice now I am actually in Outlook. So I pulled up Outlook, and over here on the left, I have an email from Wide World Importers. And here's my email. You can see in the email I've got a PDF attached of the invoice that they sent me that I need to pay. And down here in the body of the invoice, they've got some details. So I bought a lamp, I bought a chair. It's about $8,861 worth of items that I purchased. Okay, so I want to enter this invoice. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, and there's an icon here that's got the little Business Central logo, and it says Contact Insights. I'm going to click on this, and what Business Central is going to do is it looks at this information on this email, and it says, oh, this is from Wide World Importers. And it pulls up Business Central over here with the Wide World Importers vendor information sitting here. I can actually see what my balance is. I can see if I have any outstanding invoices with them, any POs, etc. Everything I need to know about Wide World Importers is right here, and it knew to pull that up just based upon this email. Okay, now I want to take this invoice and I want to enter it into Business Central. So right from within Outlook again, I can just click on this little icon as a piece of paper with a plus sign, and I'll say I want to enter this invoice, and we'll come in and say, what do you want to do? I want to enter a purchase invoice or vendor invoice. And again, it went out and it looked at your email and said, I saw 2 line items there, and I do you want to put these items in your invoice? And you say, yep, okay, let's do it. And now it's gone in and it's pulled up the vendor invoice entries form, and it has put those 2 items in there. And the only thing we need to add is the vendor invoice number. So it's pulled everything else from my email. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the vendor invoice number. If we scroll down, you can see there's additional information you could put out here if you wanted to, but we don't really need to do that. So I'm going to go over here to my ellipse, and I'm going to click on that. Now it gives me options. What do I want to do with this? Do I want to post it or whatever? Well, I'm going to go ahead and say post. And confirms, do you want to post? And we'll say yes. And that invoice has now been processed and put into Business Central. So let's go over to Business Central and let's look at it and see what we have. So here's Business Central. Here's all of my posted purchase invoices. Remember, again, this is a list view. So I've got a list view out here. I'm going to, just to expedite matters, I'm just going to type in that invoice number, and it pulls up Wide World Importers. Here's the information. If I click on that, I can now see the transaction that it created in Business Central. Wide World Importers, here's the line items, here's the total amount, and we've entered that invoice manually, and we're ready to go. We're ready to pay it if we want to pay it. But before we pay it, let's go on to the next step. Let's do this again, but let's now do it automated. So I'm going to come in, and here again, I've got an email from Wide World Importers. This time, though, I don't have detail in here, but I still have the PDF sitting here of the invoice. So I got a PDF of this invoice. Let's open up that PDF. And you can see here is the document from Wide World Importers. And I've got 2 line items for $861.81. Okay, so that looks good. I want to get that into the system, right? So let's go ahead and close this. Now we're going to start out the same way we did last time. I'm going to click on Contact Insights over here, the Business Central Contact Insights. And what it did is it still knew it was Wide World Importers because Wide World Importers sent the email. And so it pulled up the Wide World Importers information again. But this time, what I'm going to do is when I click on this ellipse, I've got some different options out here. And if you can see down here at the bottom, I've got 2 options. One says send to incoming documents queue. The other one says send to OCR. So I could send this right now to OCR and have it scanned for me, but I don't want to do that because I actually want to, I have a step in there, a workflow step that I want to be processed for somebody to look at it and make sure that this invoice really is right before sending it to OCR. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on send to incoming documents. And what it does is it pulls that attachment and said, is this the attachment that you want to send to your incoming documents queue? And you go, yes, okay. And now let's minimize Outlook. Go back over to Dynamics 365 Business Central. And down here you can see I have 3 incoming documents. Let's go ahead and click on that queue. And you can see I got 3 documents, one from Fabricam, one says purchase invoice from First Up Consultants, and then I got my Wide World Importers invoice. Notice there's no dollar amount in here right now, but let's go ahead and let's click on this. Opens up the window for incoming documents, but again, there's no data in here. There's just the PDF that's attached out here. Okay, but I wanted to review that before I send it to OCR, so I'll click on it and look and make sure that this is the right PDF that came in. I say, yep, that is the right PDF. So now let's go ahead and now let's send it to OCR service. So you see up here I have a little icon at the top on my ribbon bar. It says send to OCR service. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Tells me it was successfully sent to the OCR service. So now that invoice is being scanned, and then the information is going to be available for me to pull back in. So I'll hit OK here. And now you see I've got an icon that's highlighted now that says receive from OCR service. So my send is faded out. Now it says receive. We'll go ahead and click receive. It says it's been successfully received. We'll say OK. And now you can see that my screen has been populated with the date, the vendor, and the dollar amount of that information that's sitting out there. So everything looks good. Let's go up here and say create document. Because I'm just saying, I actually haven't actually put it into the PO yet. So we'll say create document, and now, or not the PO, the purchase invoice, have it entered into that purchase invoice screen. So now it pulls out the purchase invoice screen, and everything's in here, including the line items that came in. Those were OCR scanned also, and the dollar amount and everything that's in here. And now I can go ahead and hit the post button and post it, and it's in Business Central. So we saw how you can manually enter an invoice. We saw how you can automatically do it through OCR scanning. Now we want to look at the vendor balances. We can just come into here and we can select vendors up here on the menu bar. Notice on the menu bar you see I've got finance areas, cash management, sales, purchasing, etc. And then I've got some common things I do. So I want to look at my vendors. Pulls up all of my vendors. Wide World Importers is highlighted here. But we'll go ahead and select it so it actually pulls up their card. Here's their balance. Now I want to drill down because I want to see what it is that we owe to them. And here you can see all my invoices. I got some that are overdue, and I've got the 2 that we've just entered in here for the 8861. And again, list view. If I want to send it to Excel, I can do that, etc. It's a really nice feature. All right. So we looked at what's out there. Now let's go ahead and I'll show you kind of the process involved in paying invoices. So we're going to pay the vendors. We'll come back into here. We'll go, I'm actually going to go to cash management this time. Under cash management, I can do cash receipts, I can do payment journals, bank accounts, etc. We're going to click on payment journals. and I've got some different payment journals out there. So for my regular payables, I'll go ahead and click on this one. And then it comes up and says, well, what do you want to pay? Kind of more or less is what it's looking for here. And there's a button up here. I can manually select things. There's a button up here that says suggest vendor payments. There's also one that says suggest employee payments if you're doing employee time and expense and you want to pay employee expenses. I'm going to go ahead and hit suggest vendor payments, and it's going to come in here and pull up all of the invoices that it thinks I should be paying. And if everything, you can edit this, do whatever you want to do. If everything looks good, you can just come up and say print checks or whatever else I want to do. If I'm going to do some ACH, charge a credit card, whatever I'm going to do, I can go ahead and process that. Okay, so in closing, we went in and we entered purchase invoices manually. We showed how you can automate them through OCR. We looked at some vendor balances, and we went in and paid the vendors. See how efficient that is, how you can save time, improve control, make sure everything's processed successfully. So that's what I wanted to show you here today from a demonstration standpoint. The one thing I didn't show that I just want to mention, though, before we close, one of the other things about Business Central is the way it handles account numbers. So your GL account, a lot of people, particularly if you have Dynamics GP, you have what they call a segmented chart of accounts. You might have 3, 4, 5 segments in your chart that, one segment's division, one segment's the account, one's a sub-account, one's a department, as an example. In Business Central, you just have the account number. You just have the natural account, the core account number, like 1,000 is cash, for example. What you can have is then unlimited financial dimensions that represent all those segments. So I have independent dimensions for each of my segments. So, but the beauty of that is I can have as many different dimensions as I want, and then I can slice and dice on any of those dimensions as I'm processing. So it's a little different model, but very, very effective, and makes it very easy to add dimensions without having to worry about adding a bunch of accounts in the process. Again, kind of summarize with Business Central. So Business Central is Microsoft's new cloud product. You can access it from anywhere. It's going to help you connect your business, help you with smarter decisions, help you get started, and help you grow. Thank you today. Appreciate that. Here's my information. Feel free to reach out to us. Good question. Somebody asked, how much does it cost? Which is a good question. I should have had that in here. And the other one is when can we expect an increase? So how much it costs is right now, if you're the standard product for everything except the manufacturing and service management functionality is $70 a user a month. If you need manufacturing and service management, it is $100 a user a month. That's the standard pricing. Now, if you are an existing Microsoft Dynamics user, like for example, you're using Dynamics GP, you can get it for, I think it is $42 a month for that rather than $70. And then there's also team users. I mentioned that earlier. The team users are normally $8 a user a month, and if you're formerly a GP user, you can get them for $8.20. Now, I'm going to go even a step further on this, though. It's even better than that. If you're a nonprofit, it's even less expensive than that. So if you're a nonprofit, it's like $28 a user a month for the full users and $3.20 a user a month for the others. Now, when is it going to go up? That's a good question. There's a good chance it will go up, but then there may not be. Microsoft has always gone for market share, and they've got a long ways to go to gain market share here. So I do not see them changing or updating that price for a long time. And by then, competition may dictate that they can't raise that price. We don't know. So it's a good question, though. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good day.